2 water trucks on site, sometimes only one. That water truck will be busily watering roads and things like that, but it ignores where the waste is actually being disposed to. And the trucks that are coming from Willawong, for example, are full of waste that's being pushed around on the ground and perhaps even exhumed from New South Wales dumps. And when they unload it, it's full of dust, and it's amazing. I've been to this site and looked at it unloading at the invitation of Cleanaway. It is amazing what comes out of those trucks. So when they say C&I waste, that is actually quite a broad church, if you like. Okay? And the fact is, I'm suffering asthma right now, and I'm sure there's a lot of asthma in our community, and we already suffer elevated levels of respiratory illness here, and these dumps, even if they're not causing it directly, they can't be helping. Okay? The other thing I want to say about that is that environmental control, the state will say, oh, but we can condition it so that, you know, no one's going to suffer because we can put controls on the environmental activities, the ERAs. But what we've found in the past is that they don't work. There's multiple breaches of environmental conditions that attach to the permits of these facilities, and they often fail. And as you can see here, there's a great plume of dust here rising up into the atmosphere, and all you need is for the wind to take that and away it goes. Thanks, Jeff. Okay, so this is a map of the underground mining, locations of the underground tunnels. Okay. The main problem that we see here is the fact that we live in an area, Ipswich, the whole of Ipswich has many areas that have a lot of mines, legacy mine issues. And we've seen that some of us have suffered subsidence in the past, not just in the suburb, but other suburbs of Ipswich. Because of the nature of this area, the nature of this area is that it's an undermined area, and that's why there were open cuts to remove some of those underground galleries. But they haven't removed them all. There's layers that go deep under the ground. And it's not possible to be fully certain about where they are and about their condition and the extent of them, okay? And if you put a big mountain of waste over the top of some of these areas, there is a potential for subsidence. And if that happens, then you can be pretty confident that the geotechnical layers and the impermeable clay layers and everything that they put into these proper engineered landfills will be breached, and whatever's in there will fall into the underground water table, because these voids are actually connected hydraulically to the underground water. And then that flows into 6 Mile Creek and out into the Brisbane River. So there is an environmental concern with that. The other thing that happens in mines is that you get spontaneous combustion, and there are fires underground. That's not going to help either with integrity. If you build a great big mesa, it's exposed to the elements, and over time it may erode, and then you get ingress of stormwater into the cap, and what results from that is leachate, and so you get leachate building up inside the mound, which is also a ticking time bomb environmentally. Morton Geotechnical Services has said there's always a risk associated with landfill in those particular settings, and actually there are Queensland Government guidelines that dictate things like buffers from sensitive receptors such as houses and schools, and that also dictate what the distances should be from unstable areas and from floodplains. And as far as I can tell, just about every rule in the book has been broken by putting these mines here. Now, all of these landfill companies don't want to just fill a void. They talk about rehabilitating a hole, that sort of thing. They don't want to just do that. They want to erect a very large mountain over the top of these holes. We don't know why this is called rehabilitation, because all we're getting is a bunch of round, grassy hills popping up all over the place. And they can only grow grass, they can't grow trees for reasons I described before. You can't grow trees where the root system is going to get into the cap and allow rainwater in. So we have this thing. This is what they predict they're going to do. So the void is over here, the hole, the lake is here, so that would be a couple of cells, but then they want to build this great big area over here, which takes up 75% of the site. It will be 69 metres above your head if you were standing at the site entrance. It will be 30 metres higher than the highest natural point of the landscape. How is that rehabilitation? If anyone can tell me, I'd welcome a chat with them later. Thanks, Jeff. Okay, so this is the cell plan. Void is here, it's quite large. And then we have this other stage here where they're putting 3 more cells in. So as far as we can see, if they wanted to rehabilitate the hole and fill the hole, all they need is cells 4 and 5. They don't need a mound footprint that is 50 hectares. So cells 1, 2 and 3, as far as we can see, are not necessary to do any rehabilitation. It's about maximising profits, people. Okay? Don't let anyone tell you that these companies are good corporate citizens or they care about you. It's about maximising profits. Thanks, Jack. So this is an elevation. It's only a kind of cartoon, if you like, but it gives you some idea of the relationship between Collingwood Park and the site. So up here, that's the Woolies. This is Collingwood Drive over here. This is Collingwood Park here. This is 6 Mile Creek. As you'll see, it's down off this particular side here. This is the lake. That's the hole. But this is what they want to build. Thanks, Jeff. And we call them the rolling hills of waste for a reason, because if you travel down Collingwood Drive these days, I was actually stunned. I was going into Ipswich the other day, and I went, what's that over there? I haven't seen that before. It was a new one. It was a new mound. So they're just popping up like mushrooms. I hadn't noticed it. Maybe it was because they've capped it and it now looks green or something, I don't know. But I know that looks low, but if you can imagine standing here and looking at this rising, it's not like a nice grassy little knoll pops up overnight. There's a lot of stuff that goes on before that happens. Lots of trucks. You'll see the waste mound rising, you'll see the dirt mound rising, you'll see trucks running around. You might even see waste. If you are familiar with Redbank Plains Road going into Ipswich, you will see a vast waste mountain on your left, where they've just erected a great big hill in a paddock. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So don't forget, this is not our waste. It's not our waste, it's from New South Wales. There are enough mining voids in New South Wales to fill 45 Sydney harbours. But they're not putting it in those voids to rehabilitate them. No, they're bringing it to Queensland. Why? There's no waste levy here. Even if there was a waste levy here, $138 a tonne in New South Wales does not cut it, when I think the last waste levy was $34 a tonne. That was introduced by the Bligh government and then canned by the Newman government. So there needs to be a federal approach to this, because it's a federal issue. Okay? Thanks, Jeff. Right, this is the lake that we want to rehabilitate with dumping a whole lot of waste in it. This is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see it very clearly, but it's actually quite beautiful, to be honest with you. It's huge. If anyone's seen Void 10, what we call Void 10, it's a lake near Collingwood Park that my kids jumped in and had swims in when they were kids. And I know Kerry Saw's kids also did the same, didn't they, Kerry? If you're familiar with that, this hole is about twice as big. It's 24 hectares. It contains 6,500 megalitres of water. Where is that going to go? As I said, these voids, these lakes, are filled from underneath, filled from the groundwater. Stormwater goes into them as well and refreshes them, but they're largely filled from the underground water system. I don't know where you would put 6,500 megalitres of water myself, but I guess it will be a gradual process if it actually gets underway, but it's scary. So the other thing they want to do is mow down nearly 4 hectares, 4.95 hectares of koala habitat and the endangered Cooneyalla olive tree and other flora. I think another one is called the milk. These things are endangered. So koalas and echidnas, get out, you've been served your notice. The other day I had a powerful owl sitting in a tree outside my window. It was a chick, it's a juvenile. Fantastic. I love living here because of the wildlife that exists here. It's worth preserving. So BMI calls all of this activity, and I quote from one of their documents that they've given Ipswich City Council. They call it greater conservation outcomes, increased koala habitat, improved local amenity outcomes, and restored natural drainage channels. Thanks for that. Okay. Consultants that write those sorts of things, they don't live where we live. There's a long history of council welcoming waste to Ipswich. It goes back a long way. When I came to live here in 1999, beginning of 1999, Cleaner Ways town planning consent had just been issued. I was totally unaware of it because we're never told about these things. We're only told nice glossy things, okay? It was only a little operation at that time, but then it grew into the megalith we all know and love today. And we can see Cell 4's liner every time we go to Woolworths, which really cheeses me off, quite frankly. So, we get this a lot. Whenever people speak to members of Irate, they say, the waste has to go somewhere. We all make waste. Sure we do. We actually don't have a problem with landfill companies and with waste companies per se. What we have a problem with is where you're putting it. Okay? We don't want to live with it, they don't want to live with it, and they don't because they live somewhere else. Okay, so that's why we say, every time we hear this, we say to ourselves, yes, I don't live here, that's okay. So that's the problem. They don't have to live with them. Okay, next slide please, Jess. So this is one of the reasons. Many years ago, it was decided by the powers